Hey, howdy, hey friends and neighbors, Scott here. I thought we might just take a look around my yard on this middle of February morning and see what kind of edibles we can find. This is Zone 7. Your results may vary. Prickly pear is a good year-round survival or foraging food. Now, in the winter it can get a bit scraggly, but it's still perfectly fair game as far as survival is concerned. And it's really easy to propagate. All you do is cut off one of the pads. Now, this is not a wild prickly pear. This is I got this from the side of the road by a guy's house. I got permission. This is a nice, pretty, big padded one, but any of the wild ones will work too. You just cut off one of the pads and then lay it on the ground. Each of these, I really should have spread these out more, but each of these will become another prickly pear plant. And they root really reliably. Some people will say to cut them in half and put them in the ground. Some people will say to you probably ought to clear the ground a little bit, but farmers, when they go through and cut down the grass in a field, they will spread these things everywhere because whether they're cut or whole, they tend to root really reliably. So if you want to bring some of the wild into your yard, prickly pears are an excellent way. Look at this beautiful chickweed growing at the edge of this compost bin. Chickweed is a cool weather plant. You can identify it by opposite leaves, and it's hard to see, but there's a narrow, there's a single line of hairs that will run down one side of the stem, and after every pair of leaves, you'll have another set of, whoopsie. If you carefully work the stem back and forth and kind of pinch and twist, you can break the outer stem and reveal an inner elastic core, and that's a good identifying feature. I don't see any of the flowers right here, but they have a little 5-petaled flower, but it looks like 10. Because they're deeply cleft. And these have a nice, pleasant taste. They can get a little stringy when they get older, but if you just clip the top, 2-3 inches, that's not a problem. It tastes good. This is called a purple dead nettle. It's another early spring favorite. It's in the mint family. This is, I can't think of the scientific name. The texture can be a little fuzzy. I don't enjoy these in salads as much. Some people do. They just love them in salads. I like it more when it's cooked. Say with a rice dish. Maybe chicken and rice and dead nettle. I think those go real well together. This has some anti-allergen properties too. So that's a nice thing to have in the spring. So as a mint, it has square stems and opposite leaves. And it makes sort of like a Christmas tree shape overall. It will have these purple flowers that this species does. They're also a white-flowered species, but it's a mint flower. I'll need to show it. Okay, see that little bloom? That's what a mint bloom looks like. I'll need to do a video on that sometime. Hey, look right next door. Oh, sorry I threw you down, little dead nettle. And right here, we have a wild geranium. Now, I always forget if this is stork's bill or crane's bill. They have different leaves, but I forget which one has which. And the leaf looks quite a bit like a tame geranium. These are edible. They're not my favorite. If you get them when they're... Hey, little bug, go on. If you get them when they're young, they're not too bad, but they can be kind of bitter. There we go. So we're looking for that. My goji berries have some leaves. Goji berry leaves are edible. Even though they're in the nightshade family, but the leaves and the fruit are edible. Very pretty, but don't eat them. Daffodils, narcissus, also called lint lily. The bulb will look something like an onion, but you would be unhappy if you tried to eat it. This is a wild onion or a wild garlic, the exact species, who knows?
I think you're onion.
Okay.
Onion.
And the way that you can tell these apart from any poisonous lookalikes is that they don't have lookalikes that are also smell-alikes. So you can break the leaves off here, or you can dig up the bulbs and smell those, and they will smell like an onion or a garlic. And you use them just the same. And aren't they pretty? Okay, take a look right here. This is a relative of that purple dead nettle that we saw before. This one, though, is called henbit. And it has the same overall structure, but the leaves are sort of rounded. See that? And the flowers will look the same. Both equally edible. You can see some pine trees across the way. Of course, pine trees are year-round edible. Make a tea out of the needles. It has some nice antiviral properties as well as other good health benefits. This is a Yopon holly. Ilex vomitorium. but it's edible. The leaves are edible and caffeinated. You make a tea. You make a caffeinated tea out of these. I need to let this guy grow. I need to get this grass out from around it and give it a little love so it'll grow up bigger. Now this guy right here is a yucca plant, and there are some edible things on the yucca. This time of year, you can use the leaves to make a cordage, and I really need to make a new video and upload that to show everybody again. The root can be used for soap. You cut it up and kind of smash it up, and it's got a lot of saponins in it, the plant soaps. But of course that will kill the plant. You can also, in some species, this one it works, you can use the leaves. It's not as soapy as the root, but it will get the job done. You can cut a leaf, really rough it up, and then use it kind of like a scouring pad to clean things, and it does have a soap in it.
Daddy?
The root is edible with a lot of boiling, but I don't think it's worth it. Oh, this is Nandina, our heavenly bamboo, and I don't know, with as old as the leaves are, then the newer growth is better. I don't know if you'd really want to eat this older stuff. I guess you could in an emergency, but it'd be rough. So I'd put this one as a maybe for this time of year. And then here, look at this. Look at my beautiful, this is what I'm looking at, my beautiful horsetail. When I bought this, the nursery labeled it as Equisetum hyemale, and I'm sure it, they just labeled it as what they bought it as. Unfortunately, I have since learned that it is not, because it branches, and hyemale doesn't branch. So I'm not 100% sure what species it is, but I was already chewing and eating on it, and it didn't make me sick, so I think it's one of the okay ones. And I love these garlics. I rescued these from a field across the street. It's an old abandoned house with a field, and it gets mowed down about twice a year. And these guys kept getting mowed down. There was just one clump of these garlics, so I went over there and I just dug up a whole bunch of bulbs and put them around everywhere, and they've just thrived. Anywhere I put them in the ground, they come up just as happy as can be. No weeding, no watering, just watching them grow and enjoying it, and occasionally harvesting, the bulbs for some garlic. So I try to spread these around. This is a really good survivor variety of garlic. And garlics tend to be good about surviving, but some are better than others. Here we have some cane plants, and I just posted about canes and the bamboos and all those. And we may be a bit too early to find any shoots this time of year. You can use of course, the canes themselves are great for building things. Chickens like to eat them too. But if we could find some shoots, we could take them in and actually cook them. I probably should have waited to do that post. I'll just do a follow-up post, and when some come up, I can show you I can do a demo of how to cook them. But this is another, I guess there's not an edible part this time of year, but it's still a useful plant. These are real easy to identify because, well, they look like this, but they're in the grass family. They'll have hollow stalks with these nodes every so often, and the leaves have parallel veins. They do not crisscross. Okay, this is a bitter cress. It's in the mustard family. This little guy's kind of hard to see. He has a rosette of leaves, these compound leaves, and there's no way I'm going to be able to zoom into it here, but all mustard plants have 4 little petals with 6 stamens, 4 tall and 2 short. And sometimes the roots of these will taste kind of like horseradish. But these are perfectly edible, kind of spicy, nice. This is a big row of honeysuckle I've allowed to grow on purpose. I'm going to harvest the flowers when they come into season and make some tea out of those. And I'll make a video on that too. And here's this little mullein that's come up in my yard, and I have very much welcomed. I've been wanting mullein to come in here. Look at how soft it is. And this is good for medicines, especially for the lungs. Look at that. Beautiful. Some side notes outside of my yard. Juniper trees will have juniper berries just any time of year. Those are for, they're medicinal and they're used as a spice. But look at these small berries. Look at how many of these there are. This is a crazy producing vine right here. So there's something edible. Well, I guess that's all of the common stuff that I can find around here. No real big surprises today, but I hope you enjoyed the look around at what's blooming and what's ready to eat. Keep your eyes out for plants and zombies. Happy foraging. I'll see you next time.